Have you ever stopped to think about what's really running under the hood of a modern business? It's this incredible, powerful digital engine, right? But what happens when that engine starts to sputter? Well, it can bring everything to a grinding halt. So today, we're going to pop the hood, decode that engine, and figure out what's really causing all the friction, and more importantly, how to fix it.
And that right there, that's the gold standard, isn't it? That seamless experience. You know, when you order something, you track a package, or you just use an app on your phone, you expect it to just work instantly. That expectation is what drives pretty much every modern business. It's the ideal everyone is chasing.
Okay, but let's be real. For so many companies, the reality is a little different. The very systems they built to create that amazing experience, they've become this tangled web of old tools and disconnected processes. So instead of helping, they're actually holding the business back. And this leads to some very familiar problems.
First, you get the bottlenecks, right? Simple tasks just get stuck somewhere in the system. Then, you see the costs start creeping up because you're just throwing more and more money at patching up these old systems. And honestly, the most painful part? Innovation just slows to a crawl. I mean, you can't build the future on a foundation that's crumbling.
So if you're sitting there nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. This is one of the biggest and yet most hidden challenges that businesses are dealing with today. So let's start peeling back the layers and see what's actually causing all this trouble.
The real source of the problem is something called the integration fabric. The best way to think about it is like the company's central nervous system. It connects absolutely everything. But for a lot of organizations, that nervous system is just a chaotic, tangled mess.
At the heart of it, you might find something called an enterprise service bus, or an ESB. Now, this was supposed to be the main highway for all the data, but more often than not, it's turned into a massive traffic jam.
And then, layered on top of that, you have API gateways. These things have to manage hundreds, sometimes even thousands of different connections between all your apps, both inside and outside the company walls.
And that's not all. You've also got message brokers and queues. These are designed to make sure that critical messages between systems don't just disappear, especially when things get really busy.
Oh, and we can't forget about the data. There are just countless data integration pipelines constantly moving information all over the place for analytics, for operations, and every single one of them is another potential point of failure.
And finally, you have to wrap this whole thing in layers and layers of security, things like web application firewalls or WAF, plus authentication tools like single sign-on, not to mention file transfers, monitoring tools. It gets incredibly complex incredibly fast. And all this complexity, it has a very, very real cost.
It's a concept called technical debt. See, every shortcut, every quick fix, every outdated piece of that tangle adds to it. It's like this invisible anchor that's just dragging the entire organization down, making everything slower, more expensive, and a whole lot riskier.
So how in the world do you untangle this mess and start paying down that debt? Well, you can't fix what you can't see. The first step isn't to just start ripping things out. No, it's to get a clear, objective map of the entire system. And that all starts with a structured assessment.
This is where something like a practice assessment service comes in. Think of it as an expert-led diagnostic for your company's digital engine. It looks at both the tech, that integration fabric, and your business process management, or BPM, to see how well your technology is actually supporting the way you do business.
And the whole process is broken down into two main parts. First, you do a really deep dive into the technology itself. And second, you evaluate how your business processes are running on top of that technology. It's a full, comprehensive health check.
And listen, this isn't just some surface-level glance. The assessment really digs into every single component of that tangled web we just talked about, from your API strategies and how well your ESB is working, all the way to the reliability of your messaging and data pipelines.
And this part is absolutely crucial. It connects all that tech stuff back to the business side. How efficient are your processes really? Are your automation tools actually helping or hurting? And how are you governing all this and measuring performance? This is what bridges that gap between your IT department and your actual business goals.
Okay, so that brings us to the most important question of all. Why bother doing this? What's the real payoff here? Well, it's all about turning that chaos we talked about into clarity, and then turning that clarity into real, measurable business value. This is the transformation we're talking about. You go from this constant state of bottlenecks, high costs, and slow innovation over to a future state that's all about agility, cost efficiency, and modern practices that let you innovate so much faster. It's a huge shift from just reactively putting out fires to proactively building your future.
And what you get out of this assessment isn't just a long report. It gives you 3 critical outcomes, 3 concrete tools that you can use to drive real change.
So you get a super detailed report that actually scores your maturity level and points out your biggest risks. Then you get a prioritized list of recommendations, so you know exactly where to start to get the biggest bang for your buck, both quick wins and long-term gains. And most importantly, you walk away with a step-by-step roadmap to guide your whole modernization journey.
Look, at the end of the day, you just can't build a fast, agile, future-ready business on a foundation that's full of hidden complexity and technical debt. Real transformation, the kind that gives customers that seamless experience they expect, it has to start with a clear, honest understanding of exactly where you are today.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The whole point isn't just to find a bunch of problems. The goal is to build a practical, actionable plan that leads directly to a more agile business, a better bottom line, and a true competitive advantage.
So the last question I want to leave you with is this. Is your digital engine, your integration fabric, is it truly an asset that's pushing your business forward, or has it slowly become a liability that's holding you back? Honestly, the answer to that question could define the entire future of your business.